Brandon, am I okay there, bro? Okay, you keep an eye on the screen, bro. My little clicker tonight. Welcome to message number 2 on anthropology, the doctrine of man. I would like to encourage you to listen to the message of last week if you have not done that, just to be updated, because this is basically the last of the difficult message that I need to address about the evolution and so on and so forth. So I'm going to give you a snapshot. I'm excited about it. I put a lot of work in it. It's, to be balanced by giving you information about all these things and keeping the scriptures close to us at the same time and so on. So the doctrine of man is anthropology. We study it from a biblical standpoint. We have learned that there is another one, anthropology, the doctrine of the science of mankind, but it's not basically what we do. Like I said last week, 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 5 is our guiding principle for the first few messages and probably until the end, when we say that we are destroying speculations and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. And evolutionism, Darwinism, and all that kind of stuff, a million years in between, are things raised against God. It goes against His nature, it goes against His attributes and so on, and this is not biblical. So this, when we think about these things, needs to go to God immediately and say, you keep these thoughts for you, because He knows what to do. We have two types of evolutionists that are existent here. The naturalistic evolutionist is the atheistic view. When you talk about A.G. Kirkut or G.A. Kirkut that I gave you last week, quotes and so on, Darwinism and all the scientists and our government, they said, the Prime Minister here and also the President of the United States said openly, we believe in science. So basically for them, they are naturalistic evolutionism. They stand in need of one thing, salvation. Nothing else than this. They are not regenerated, so that's why their trust in climate change, trying to accommodate the people and so on. Then, this is a little bit more of my concern with you. The theistic evolutionist is the one that believes in God, but he wants to help God a little bit because God is not quite capable of making the world in 6 days, so he wants to help him out with millions of years in between. So it's walking on the fence, and it's not a good thing. That person simply needs repentance. Stop doing this and believe at face value what needs to be believed and so on. That was last week. Last week, what did I do with you? I addressed topic. This will be long, few months. We address wrong views. You have them, the theism and so on. I basically talked briefly, very briefly, about evolutionism, Darwinism, what they believe and so on. I won't go back today. It will be alluded lightly. Today, why it's in bold right now, I'm going to be talking about the laws of thermodynamics, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to be talking about it. Okay? And then the rest of the messages starting next week, God's willing, will be on the biblical, the origin of man, what are we, what we are composed of, soul, spirit, and so on, the fall, what we do, what is our role right now, and there's a multitude of details. These messages will unfold probably until the end of the year and maybe a little bit in the new year. So instead of doing, like I wanted to do with you, a character study, taking Abraham, I take me and you to understand what mankind is all about and not to ascribe deity to Mary. I know you don't do this. Or to call Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John Saint Matthew, Saint Luke, because thinking that they have something more than us. Okay? Because we're man, and we have an origin, we have an existence now, we are composed on things, we have been made to the image of God, and we have a destiny. And if you allegorize my destiny, it's false teaching. Now I want to talk about the 3 laws of thermodynamics, and now that's the core of the message for today and so on. So make your notes. I'm going to take my time. Even if I go for 40 minutes, we'll do that. When you study science, evolutionism, and so on, you don't have the choice to talk about the laws of thermodynamics. There are 3 of them. This is introductory material right now. The laws of thermodynamics are scientifically proven. That's why I explain them. That's the reason. Because from the standpoint of science, they're proven. As over against evolutionism, which is not proven. Okay? The 7 assumptions of evolution actually are not proven, but these laws of thermodynamics are proven. The laws of thermodynamics describe the energy relationships of matter for the whole universe as we know it. If you turn around and you look at my picture there, I forgot to cut and paste that on the PowerPoint. How does it sustain together? How does it go? How does it turn? We look at this, and that we talk about the energy as it relates to this. The energy here is defined in this concept of capacity of doing useful work. The energy that I'm talking about, derived from the laws of thermodynamics here, are derived for having a capacity to do useful work, or useful works if you want to. And the form of energy may appear as being mechanical. When you talk about the flood, the universal flood, you need to go there. Electrical, electromagnetic. Jan will be more qualified for me to explain the chemistry, the chemical, the light, the heat, and so on. So that's an introduction of the laws of thermodynamics. We're talking about the energy and so on. And right now, I'm not in the Bible right now. I'll become in the Bible later. Now we're going to talk about these 3 laws. We will look at them in very simplicity, trying for me to make it palatable despite my limitation in knowledge in it, and my limitation also in choosing of words because it's not my first language. So the first law of thermodynamics, it's called the law of conservation of energy. That's a milder term to call it, the conservation of energy. It teaches this, that the energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Now, there is something that I don't like there, but I need to tell you what the laws of thermodynamics are saying. It teaches that the energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy here can be transformed in various ways, but cannot be created or destroyed again. It involves all the process of the universe, be it physical, geological, biological, etc. As far as its relationship with evolution is concerned here, it says that it is continually taking place at the present time according to evolution. I repeat that. Evolution teaches that the process here of the energy of the universe, physical, geographical, and biological, it takes place at the present time. That's according to their thinking, actually. Now, we'll leave that one. We'll go to the second one. The second law of thermodynamics. It teaches that the total amount of energy available to do useful work in the cosmos, this is always getting smaller. This is very important for us here. It teaches that the total amount of energy available to do useful work in the cosmos is always getting smaller. By far, this second law of thermodynamics is the most important in relationship to the false doctrine of evolution. It teaches this, that although the total energy in the cosmos remains the same, simply because it cannot be created nor destroyed, the total amount of energy available to do useful work is always getting smaller and smaller. And that's the truth. If you have been told that the universe is expanding, thank you so much. The useful work is getting smaller and smaller. In all energy transformation, there is a tendency for some of the energy to be transformed into non-reversible heat energy. So, how about the availability of the energy of the system of process, of the performance of work is always being reduced? The picture is the universe is continually running down or wearing away. Okay? So this universe right now is not expanding. It's somewhat shrinking, running down and wasting away. Is your government trying to stop it? It will not work. It will not work because it's going right now, according to evolutionism, it's going to more complexity and less chaos. But the complete opposite of this is true. All things now become more disorganized and more at random. You watch the news, the Weather Channel, they cannot predict the storm. It comes and go randomly type of thing, earthquake and so on, and they have a hard time to give you the weather for 2 days in advance. That's our technology. So the second law of thermodynamics, I'm not sure if you're with me. Are you with me? Yes. Okay. Teaches that the total amount of energy available to do useful work, meaning to sustain us, to give us the rain in our time, and the whole shebang of stuff, having the proper distance between the sun and the earth and the moon and so on, otherwise we would be cooked and so on. And the whole shebang here, the cosmos is always getting smaller here. And it's going to lead me in a moment here to the third law, but not right now. Evolutionism concerning the second law teaches the exact opposite of the second law of thermodynamics. Remember one thing. I just said that the law of thermodynamics are scientifically proven. Nothing is proven about evolution. It's theory. Nothing is facts. So we're building a case here using science. That's why I could not skip that, whether you like it or not. Because to an extent, we know what we need to know a little bit what we're talking about here. Okay? Evolution requires the exact opposite, the increase of order, more organization, size, and complexity. But we are going in the complete opposite direction. It's a plus for us. You can explain that now. Again, what the second law demands and what evolution demands are the exact opposite. You with me? Good stuff. So either the second law, make some comment here, either the second law of thermodynamics is true or evolution is true. You make your choice. They cannot be both true, and all scientists agree that the law of thermodynamics, the second law, is the truth. So I have to say, it's not a class on this, it's a message introducing God in it. What is the third law of thermodynamics? It is also called the law of entropy. Entropy is the total amount of energy that is no longer usable, also called depleted energy. That's the energy that was there and can no longer be used. That's what we call the law of entropy. Okay? This is the total measure of depleted energy. Entropy, I give you a short definition here, is the amount of energy that is no longer usable. In accordance with the second law, entropy in a closed system can only increase and not decrease. So, I repeat that. Entropy in a closed system can only increase and not decrease. Okay? That's it. It can only increase. So what is increasing all the time? It's the amount of useless work and energy. This is going higher. So now you have some kind of clues about the global warming if you want to. about the cataclysm that we have over the planet type of thing. This is proven. So the amount of energy that can produce well is the amount of crap, if you want to call it this way, useless energy is increasing all the time. So that's the truth based upon the laws of thermodynamics. Now, there is a possibility here. We talk about complexity. Here you have the building of a building right now. It's a building being in construction. Is it possible to temporarily decrease entropy? Yes. In a sense, yes. By the influx of excess of free energy, you need to think about the building of a building. You're building a building right now, and it's going to be closed and finished, and the office will move in it. And as soon as the building is finished, it's going to start to decay. It starts to decay. I love BC because in 10 years you will mow the lawn on your roof. It's beautiful as this. You finish your house, it starts to decay. So in a sense, and you have made your house of wood, or whatever the case could be, and it's a new home type of thing, a toilet made of ceramic, or whatever the product is, and it flushes well, and it works, and everything. So you have kind of temporarily slowed down the process of entropy. But in 5 years, you're going to need to change the little lever that flushes it, because it's going to remain open, and the toilet will leak, and you won't like the sound. Belfer, here with Fred, is there for this. The law, he lives by the law of entropy. Okay? Now, on this one, I will read for this. It's there. Let's read it together. Okay, I just want you to think about that building, and I just want to think about God in His sovereignty sending us the rain. And British Columbia is perfect for this. So you come with me in 104, 10 to 13. Come with me. Think about it. I will explain that later. I could have chosen the full psalm, but I did not. I'm going to use this to explain this to an extent. He sends forth springs in the valleys. They flow between the mountains. Vicky, you live right beside a creek. Okay? They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. Beside them the birds of the heavens dwell. They lift up their voice among the branches. He waters the mountain. From his upper chamber, the earth is satisfied with the fruit of his work. I'm going to use Yubo because I know the park there called the Arbutus Park. She lives close to a mountain, and it rains and it snows. And the rains come down in the creek, and it's drinkable water right away. So the little birds and the deers and the elk go there. They quench their thirst. The creek dumps into Cowichan Lake. And Cowichan Lake dumps into the ocean. And nobody can drink this. It's over. Until He acts again. Because all the lakes and all the water possible drains into the ocean. It is fresh water, becomes salty, finished for the birds, finished for your elk, finished for your deer, finished for everybody. Who is game enough to go to Crofton and drink a good glass of water for the ocean? Glue. But you can go 30 kilometers away to Yubo, and you just bring your mug and you drink from that creek right away. So that's an example here of the creation of God and how everything goes away. Which book of the Bible says all the creeks goes to the ocean and the ocean is never full? Ecclesiastes. So it takes the sovereignty of God, but this is a true law. Altogether, it is a true law. All right? Energy is constantly decreasing. All right? Randomness and chaos is increasing. Randomness and chaos is increasing. Do you need a slide for this? Just go past the door. Go to Thrifty when you're done. Go to Walmart, and you will see the attitude of the people, everything that you witness around in the world, the volcano in Las Palmas, and whatever's happening on Earth. We're not evolving quite good. Everything is deteriorating, basically. You start neat. We start neat, it becomes messy. I'm going to quote from Bloom. I like that picture of Bloom. Bloom is an evolutionist. An evolutionist requires a great amount of faith. You have heard this, that it requires more faith to be an evolutionist than a Christian. You have heard that. And you don't know what to answer, but I just want to give you a quote that works with this man here. You just listen here. Okay? Show me your grace. There is difficult words. I'm going to try to, it's not long. It's him that wrote this. The chances of forming tripeptide would be about 1/100th, that is forming dipeptide, and the probability of forming a polypeptide is only 10 amino acids, as units would be something like 10-20, like this. Okay? I'll come back to that later. The spontaneous formation of a polypeptide of the size of the smallest known proteins seem beyond all probability. This calculation alone presents serious objection to the idea that all living matter and systems are descended from a single protein molecule which was formed as a chance act. The riddle seems to be how, when no life existed, did substances come into being which today are absolutely essential to living system, yet which can only be by those systems. A number of major properties are essential to living system as we see them today, the origin of any of which from random system is difficult enough to convince, let alone the simultaneous origin of all the facts remain that no appreciable amount of polypeptides would form unless there was some factor which altered the equilibrium greatly in their favor. If proteins are reproduced, and they must have been, if living systems are to evolve from non-living system, free energy had to be supplied. The source of this free energy is a fundamental problem we must eventually face. The quanta in sunlight are inadequate to supply the energy necessary to forward this endergonic reaction. However, in the difficulty in summing quanta in simple photochemical reactions has been already discussed. So what he does here, he points out that in the light of the second law of thermodynamics, the evidence against spontaneous chance happening in the way they say it happened, in the way they say it happened, is virtually impossible. Yet, they still believe in it. Yet, they still believe in it. They accuse Bible believer to go on the basis of faith and not science. But they are actually acting a lot more of faith than we are, because we have evidences and they don't. So when you hear the statement that it takes more faith to believe in Darwin than to believe in the Bible, it's absolutely true. Because we have the evidence and they don't. All right? So are you still with me? Yeah. That's the last quote here. Now, I want to say a few words about this. Okay, I wanted to show you, it's a photograph of one of my book. I didn't find it online. So that's the chance. Could life have evolved by chance here? The probability of forming one protein molecule by chance is 1 in 10 to 143. Who's good? You know that kind of stuff. I cannot even read it. Which is a figure of 1 followed 2. So basically, do I have 243 zeros there? Okay, thank you so much. And this fraction is so small that one may say that the probability is 0. Look at the eyes of the child here. Forget the noise for a moment. Look at this. Look at the eyes. Say what you have to say. Beautiful. It's a molecule that took billions of years that produced this. It was a good chance. Thank you so much. Another thing that goes in circle. Want to do a speech half an hour on this, Ian? Carbon C dating system. It's pure circle thinking here. I don't have much to say. They prove A by B and they prove B by A. What this is wrong here, they use the same dating system to date a fossil, and then they try to date the rock by the fossil in it. That's why they try to prove A by B and B by A here. That's the fossil system. Evolutionists admit one thing concerning this here, that no evolution is taking place in the present time. Oh, really? Very consistent in their thinking, isn't it? Nor did it occur during the historical time. And therefore, they must say that evolution, did occur in the prehistoric time. So basically, they agree with the law a little bit. It's no longer evolving right now. But they still teach that we're going to more complicity and order out of the chaos of the past. Talk to your parents, talk to your parents that live in 1925, 30, to talk to them about the world in their time, although it was not that better, but talk to if they were hearing the same language and seeing the same thing on TV. I doubt it. So they resort to what we call a circular thinking. The age of the fossil are determined by what type of rock they are found in, and the age of the rock is determined by what kind of fossil they are found in here. Okay? In order to substantiate their case, teach them something if you can. It would be nice for them to be taught here. What they have to show is an independent way of determining the age of the rock, and an independent way of determining the age of the fossil. Then it would make more sense. Give me the age of this here, and then we can identify the age of this. It's completely nonsense, this carbon C, whatever. And it's explainable only with the issue of the flood. But they don't even hold the idea of a universal flood. And the universal flood it hasn't been long ago. Forget the flood happening millions of years. You need to delete that of your mind. Flood is quite recent. I'm not sure if you follow me, but you look too. I kind of like this. I conclude the message already. The laws of thermodynamics explain the facts. But where do you find the whys? Why? The whys are provided in the Bible. You come with me. It's not on slide. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. By going to Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, I am still in my comfort zone because we have a fall there that I would like to explain to you. I'm going to read Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. Look at this. Yes, Milan. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We stop there. It was creation ex nihilo, creation out of nothing. He never called the gravel pit in Duncan and say, I need 100 million trucks of dust because I'm doing the earth right now and I need dust for the moon, for Saturn. He created it out of nothing. He spoke and it came into being. Okay? He's a masterpiece. He is a master and he creates things good. And the earth was formless and void, and the darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the water. He hung up the phone and he said, I called the wrong company. They sell me crappy gravel. And he realized the work that he did, and he said, man, that doesn't make sense. It's void. And do you know a better company that would provide better rocks? Not quite. It became void because of the fall of Satan, who had access to it. Everything that Satan touched became basically defiled. For me, not being a scientist, these famous laws of thermodynamics started me be at that place. It's a maybe. It's a suggestion. Because now the earth was needed to be reshaped out of what was existing right now, separation of the water, dry land, water, trees and animals and mankind, to make it an habitat suitable for man. And then we came into being here. Okay? So the Bible provides the why. Now I'm going to give you another one. Psalm 102, you go there. Psalm 102. Psalm 102, go there. Verses 25 to 26. Of old, you did found the earth. You can have a look at my picture. And the heavens are the work of your hands. Even they will perish. Oh, really? We just talk about the law of entropy. But you do endure. And all of them will wear out like garment. Like clothing, they will change them, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will come to an end here. Of old, he founded the earth, and the heavens is the work of his hand. They will perish, and they will wear out like an old sport jacket. What's that law? What is that law? That's the second law of thermodynamics. So the thermodynamics, the law, provides the facts. Where do you need to look upon to have the whys? Because we will live the 1,000-year kingdom on this planet, renovated again. And then what's Revelation chapter 22? Does it say in Revelation chapter 22 somewhere that it will create a new heavens and a new earth? Yes, it does. And there will be no longer the laws of entropy. The energy will remain stable, not in the 1,000-year kingdom, but in the eternal order. When the street will be paved with gold as crystal, the gold will not erode, and we need to pave. We need to renovate. We will be brought back in the stage where we were supposed to be before the fall of Satan, in a shiny planet. So why do we elect governments that are trying to fight these things with money and human hands? It is a work that is done in vain. Completely in vain. I'm sorry to say it, but this is what I believe with my heart. I'm not saying to throw your garbage away in the street. You do not do it. You don't. And it's okay. It's good stewardship. But if you are embracing the thought that you can save this place, I would do your devotional daily instead. Because it's not going to work. Romans chapter 8, verse 20 to 22. Romans chapter 8, 20 to 22. Romans chapter 8, 20 to 22. I had a teacher years ago, not 50, maybe 40 years ago. Now I realize that he was a believer, but I was not. But I remember his speech. Apparently they have, I don't know if it's true, you help me out. They drill holes very deep and they send microphone. Okay? Down in these holes, they send microphone to listen to what's going on in the middle. Although they have not reached the middle, just forget about it. But they send sounds, in order to get the noise. And he was explaining to me, I can't remember, it was the class, that it's groaning in there. Ooh. For the creation was subject to futility, not of his own will, but because of him, God, who subjected it to futility, in hope that the creation itself also will be set free from its slavery to corruption into the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groans and suffers the pain of childbirth together until now. Why does he do using the childbirth? Honey, take me to the hospital. Wet. The waters have broken. So this creation is in travail right now until it gives birth, not to a child, to the new earth and the new heavens, where your hope is based. There will be death in the 1,000-year kingdom, very largely reduced though. But there will be death and the last revolt of Satan against God. But in the eternal order, which its planet will basically give birth to a new heavens with no ocean, no moon, no sun, no stars, lit by the Shekinah glory of God. So both the fall of men is the cause of it, the wise. If you want to go more with the fall of men, go. Garden of Eden, growing of thistles and so on. After that, you will sweat the brow and so on and so forth. What's my message if you pass the door there? You will in 10 minutes. Worship your God for what he is. I think it's Chuck Swindoll that was explaining, or David Jeremiah, you help me out, that Christianity is like a crack in the wall. And we see the light on the other side of the wall and the crack. Here, if I put the flashlight behind the wall, the light would come here. We come together tonight, we have worshiped God, we stand up, we ring the scriptures, we throw a high, and we do a few jokes here and there. Are we aware of who it is that we worship together? We try to help him so much by trying to be good. The less you will try to be good, the less you will be. Relax in his grace. Be sanctified in his grace. Embrace your position. Get to know your God. Worship him for what it is. For what he is. It's beautiful. Do you have another slide? Yes. That's the last. That's the last. The tendency is towards decay and death. Are you afraid of that? Don't say no. Please don't say no. Perhaps some can, but don't say no. Don't say no. Just reflect. If it's yes, if it's no, go, but you should say yes. We're scared of it. The biblical teaching concerning the universe is conservation. That's the first law of thermodynamics. There is air to breathe in British Columbia. You don't need a mask on your face outside. Not outside. We live on Vancouver Island here. And if there is something that you need to breathe, it's not your snort because you have boogers and so on and a hard time to breathe, then you put the Neocitron, not the Dristan in it. Breathe the air. Pretty hard to beat the air Vubo, eh? It smells good down there. And it smells good over the Vancouver Island. He sustains it. He created, not according to the law of thermodynamics, but he created all the energy possible. There will be most likely, maybe, I'm not quite sure about it, Kumar, tomorrow. I'm not sure though. Because here, between right now, 7:40 and tomorrow, there is many hours. And you and I might collapse. You don't think about it right now, you're too young. But you will, most likely. Know your destiny. Embrace his sustaining factor right now. Do it, please. Do it physically right now. Do it. You don't own what you just did. It's been given to you. He owns your next breath. He has given to you now. He will probably do it tomorrow. How much more? Did he feed the crow today? You've seen crows in the field today, eating whatever they eat. The deer, you see them every day, as well as the elk. Have they been fed? Licking in your creek? Open your fridge. Have you been fed? He's looking after you. What's tomorrow? Who gives about it? If there is one. Know your destiny. I'm done. Next week, creationism. I don't even know what the message will be all about, but I have resources, so I will do messages about it. Brendan, would you stop the machine, please, bro?